more I see you, the more I'm impressed by you. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't vote for you. But I mean, I've been going to meetings like this for 40 years. Meetings in which people, friends, neighbors have spoken out about a war which appears in the face of this beautiful woman over there, and it's heart-rending, unwinnable. The problem is that I think I'm with the same people. That is, we've all grown old together. And one of the reasons we're all the same age here, and there aren't kids like me who are 17 and about to be drafted, is the point you made before and others made, is that our children don't face what these other kids who we don't usually see face. So yes, we ought to have some sort of draft, and we ought to bring it home. And if we don't have a draft, then at least let's do what we did in the Civil War and pay the families of these people for $100,000 or $1 million of people in Fairfield would be able to pay so that the kids who go have something and for their families. And we should have a war tax, and it's disgraceful that we've had these wars and we've suffered nothing for it. My second point is this. My other point is this. Nearly 50 years ago, Dwight Eisenhower, a great president, reminded us of two things. The best known is the military-industrial complex. And one of the great problems today is that one of the reasons, and I'm not one of these cynics who think everything is a plot, but the fact is that we will spend another $1 trillion in Afghanistan. And when $1 trillion are involved, when private interests of that magnitude, and I am a capitalist through and through, then they will affect policy, and they're doing that now. One of the things that exists now, I'd like to wrap up, I swear. One of the things that exists now is that we have almost 800,000 private contractors, nearly twice as many private contractors than soldiers in this theater of warfare, getting paid far more, and who's running them and who's controlling them. The second thing that Dwight Eisenhower warned us about was a legacy of ashes. What was he referring to? He was referring to the CIA, which he warned would lead us to disaster year after year after year. And that's my warning to you, Congressman. The CIA has been wrong for 60 years. And it has caused its heroic members to die valorously. But the weapon that killed them was not a bomb, but it was hubris. And you, please, who are younger than I am, but you are a very bright guy, should please appreciate these two dangers and be aware that they are going to lead us to another disaster.
We saw really tragic evidence of the CIA's hubris. I think maybe that was part of it with the deaths of 7 CIA agents in southern Afghanistan. One of the challenges, and you make some powerful points, and Eisenhower did make those points many, many decades ago, one of the challenges with the CIA, I have a background in Latin America, so I know the worst of the CIA too, but that one of the challenges is that many of the successes of the CIA we will never know about, and so we hear about the failures, but frequently don't hear about some of the truly heroic work that they do in terms of the successes. But that's not the takeaway from your point. I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
I have a problem, Congressman, with the process of controlling the access that we, as your constituents who hired you and pay your salaries and all this, have to. You have 3 or 4 weeks, I don't know, break, Christmas break from your duties in D.C., and I called your office last Thursday, 6 days ago, and asked them where you were going to be in meetings. And they told me they didn't have that information, and I was online and went to your website, and it's Gym in Your Neighborhood, and there was nothing indicated there. It said look for the red and blue markers. There were none. And I asked them, where is he going to be? And they said that information isn't determined yet. Well, lo and behold, on Saturday, 2 days later, I received this piece of literature in the mail, which many of you may have brought you here. And so obviously this information was determined and printed well in advance of last Thursday, and yet your people in both D.C. and in your Bridgeport office could not give me this information. So what am I left to think is that you somehow want to control our access to you as our representative, and I just feel like you're taking more instruction from Madam Pelosi than you are from those who are
It's hard for me to accept a criticism that I'm not accessible for the second time this week, standing in front of several hundred people having a discussion. There's also, these meetings have been posted on my website for a long time. It's easy to find. And Tricia, let me ask you two questions.
I printed it yesterday. It's not there. I printed it yesterday.
It's been up on my website for a long time. And Tricia, let me ask you one question. Did I or did I not spend 30 minutes with you in my office in Washington, D.C.?
You did.
Okay, thank you.
On 5 days notice and make the trip down, and when they would not let us enter the building without calling your office, and one of your aides said they would come down and get them, but in the meantime, you were there and then left the office.
So we're not talking about Afghanistan, and I will take all kinds of criticism for the positions I've taken. I've taken some positions that I know are controversial. I will not accept the criticism that I'm not acceptable, particularly standing in front of hundreds of people, particularly from somebody who spent half an hour sitting with me in my office in Washington and who I've seen at 3 or 4 of my town hall meetings. I held 11 healthcare town hall meetings. I cannot, you may disagree with me on the positions, but I'm one of the most accessible congresspeople in the United States.
Homeland Security, please, what is going on? She has no clue, Napolitano.
Can you elaborate for me on what you mean by we are beating ourselves?
I'm going to, okay? I'm
okay.
glad you want to hear, because she told me I had only a minute. I really do. I'm not representing anyone. I'm just telling you what I think. I think that you can't have rules of engagement for these poor soldiers that require a lawyer before you can fire a shot. You can't be prosecuting our Navy SEALs when they brought in the guy who did the Blackwater. You can't, you have to set priorities here. Fort Hood, these poor people, they're on a military base in the U.S. This guy, there were warnings all over the place. Why was he allowed and promoted to be a major? And then why was he allowed when they aren't allowed to carry guns? To keep going until he killed them, okay? Please do something about that. Okay, the other thing that I have to say, there are more examples, and right now my hair is even curlier than it. Okay, but I have to say this. We must as a nation set priorities. We must win this war. It may not be in Afghanistan, I don't know. But you've got to give the generals the ability, the room, the money to do it. That means maybe health care, which is at best a real fight in this country, and not a lot of people want it. Okay, if you want to also say that health care has to wait, because we have to win this.